So I don't. I just want to say that
soda or whatever, like crazy. She's good here.
No way.
Yeah, somewhere. So yeah. So we went for right. So I got to share.
But yeah,
I know.
I see these visits.
So I think you always come back to last time. You should try mailing bills. Checks.
Yeah. There's only like this tall.
We're ready. Just a reminder to turn on microphones, please.
Everybody's on.
We're going to call the open forum to order. Looks like we have one person signed up to provide public input. Angela Boyd. And Angela, before you start, I'm going to read a statement here, okay?
Go ahead.
The ISD 318 School Board shall provide a specific period of time where persons may address the school board on any topic subject to the limitations of Policy 206. All individual comments shall be less than 5 minutes. Any group of 5 or more persons must appoint one person to present the group's views to the board. Depending on the number of persons present, the school board chair reserves the right to set further time limits to allow participation within the allotted time. The board shall not allow negative comments in public session about individual employees or students. Specific factual information or recitation of existing policy may be furnished in response to inquiries, but the board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any issue that is not included on the agenda posted with the notice of the meeting. If there are more requests than time available, priority will be given to persons that reside within the Grand Rapids Big Fork School District. All right, thank you.
Good evening, board members. I'm Angela Boyd again, president of the local 1314 teacher union. I'm here tonight to talk about the contract that will be presented to you tonight for your approval. I wanted to talk about the results of the vote that we had. The membership voted on January 20th to approve the contract with a final tally of 94 to 81. This was a very close vote, but as negotiators, we weren't surprised. And I have a fellow negotiator here, Nancy Schlater. As negotiators, we anticipated that this would be a very difficult sell, particularly regarding the stipend structure. However, we are pleased that we reached an agreement that the majority could support. I just want to highlight a few pivotal moments that made this possible. We originally had the vote scheduled for January 9th, but we had to postpone due to a need for clarification regarding specific contract language. I want to personally thank Matt for his incredible work during that time. It was a little stressful for a while, but his collaboration with us in ensuring the language within the contract helped all of the teachers within the district. I believe that this directly helped us pass this contract. The MOU on teacher time. One of our biggest priorities during the whole process was protecting our fellow teachers' time. The district truly listened to those concerns, and the resulting MOU is something I am personally very excited about. A seat at the table, more than just the numbers, this process gave our staff a genuine voice. With the establishment of the Collaborative Time Committee, we know we will now have a seat at the table concerning the calendar, workshop days, prep time, and just to name a few. This means a lot to myself and many other members. This was my first experience as a negotiator. To say it was a learning curve would be an understatement. It was hard at times and the stakes felt very high. But I am proud of the fact that everyone stayed professional. Both sides truly tried to find common ground, and that mutual respect is something I hope to continue to build on. During the last year and a half as president, I have come to truly value the collaboration with the district, Matt in particular. I really want this collaboration to continue to strengthen. I feel there is respect on both sides, and when we work together instead of against. I look forward to continuing to work together to make this district the best place for both students to learn and educators to work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. All right, the next item on the agenda for the open forum or for the work session is a building and grounds facilities health and safety update from Darren Chernin.
Good evening. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up here and speak again. Before I get started, I wanted to tell you about a pretty awesome opportunity I got 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week. I was approached by Mr. Scott Patrow, and he'd asked me if I would partake in a career pathways class program that was here at this building, and it was on plumbing. And for those of you who don't know, I've been in the plumbing trade since 1997. Matt gave me the permission to bring in a company rig, bunch of tools, some fittings. We had a local contractor give us some fittings that were like 20-inch in size, things that most people wouldn't see. I brought in a blueprint. It was a lot of fun. I think the kids had a good time, and it was a great opportunity for me to stand up in front of the youth and talk to them about their options and what it looks like to do. And if I get an opportunity to do something like that, I definitely would do it again. So thank you, Mr. Gross, for allowing me to bring the van over here. I took them through the boiler room. I took them through a mechanical room, and I think the kids really liked it because that's stuff that you typically don't see when you're in a building. So just want to say thank you for that. So the facilities department, that's the maintenance, buildings and grounds, that's us. Basically last year, February till this year. Completing the report, typically it's done by myself with a lot of help from the admin assistant. Maintenance and facility, and then here's the time frame again, February to February. The connection to the district mission, we provide a clean. This thing's loose. We need a maintenance guy. There's. We monitor the air, the water, both by being in the buildings, also remotely through the Medassist program. We keep the parking lots clear of snow and ice. For safety, we check the buildings over breaks. This includes holidays, weekends, things like that. And we have our own mission statement, and it's together through diligent cleaning and maintenance. We're protecting the health and well-being of the district, and that's something that I came up with. I believe in that. We have it hanging in all the custodian break rooms, offices, things like that. And it's just something that I really firmly believe in, because if we weren't in there cleaning and maintaining, we'd have leaky pipes and viruses running rampant through our buildings. We cover 970,000 square feet of buildings, from cleaning to maintenance, mowing. We are one of the few departments that impacts everyone. Not everybody eats school lunch. Not everybody plays sports. Not everybody rides the bus. But if you're in this building, you're in a parking lot, you're a community member or student, our building or our department will affect you in one way, shape, or form. Like I said, basically, we're one of the few departments that affects everyone, both, in the classrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, corridors. We ensure that the air is filtered, it's heated, the water is safe to drink by testing for lead in water. We test our RPZs. We make sure the lights are working, GFIs are working. Playgrounds, we get them inspected monthly. We also do a yearly inspection to keep the kiddos safe. And we make sure that the green spaces are mowed and the fields are ready to play. And when I talk about some of the things as far as the mechanical, those of you who were here earlier probably remember how noisy this was. You'd have to go in there and shut the air handler off. Well, we were able to get that taken care of for you. Number of staff in our department, we have 30 custodians, 5 maintenance people, 1 admin assistant, and 1 director. So we're calling this year the year of 4. And that's because I've only been here for 10 years, but Mr. Gross is our fourth superintendent. In his terms, 88 superintendent years old. Alex is our fourth business manager. We've had four technology directors, and I'm on my fourth admin assistant. I don't know if it's me or what it is, but we'll move on. Budget and staffing implications. Our equipment is old. I've said this in the past. We need to find ways to increase that equipment budget. We have gone to the Capitol last year when I was up here talking. During this board report, I went to the Capitol on, I believe it was February 13th, spoke with some legislators about being able to increase the funding for the maintenance department. We can get money to reseal coat or redo parking lots, but we don't get money to buy trucks and plows. But yeah, we can hire contractors to do it, right? So I did some time talking to the legislators down there about that, and then also there was a group of us that pushed the new funding source for roofs, so we are able to access another avenue for revenue for roofing projects. Because smaller districts in outstate, we don't have the same revenues that the larger districts have. So it's a lot harder for us to maintain our buildings the same way that the larger schools in the metro or even Duluth are able to do. My recommendation is we got to keep an eye on that middle school. It's old. Was it 23 years old now? I'll get to that in my report. We had something that just come up. The water wasn't getting softened properly, and we did some water testing, and now we're looking at having to put in new water softeners in that building. Well, you look at the amount of water that goes through that building every day, you'll see that nothing lasts forever. If we could get rid of the pool, there's an option, right, Ashley?
Listen, no, not today.
Barking at the wrong tree.
So our department has been working with ICS with Seth on a couple projects. We finished up the indoor air quality project at the high school. We did the drop-off pickup project last summer at the RJ EMS middle school. I've heard nothing but positive feedback on the ways that we drop people in and off and how that traffic flows. It appears that we don't have cars backed up all the way to our building anymore. So it seems like we finally, after 20-some years, have got this problem figured out. From January 1st to December 31st of last year, we've completed almost 2,800 work orders. And recommendations and changes, we got to start planning some roofing projects. I gave you some other documents in your folder to kind of go over. I kind of want to run through some of them real quick while we still have time. If you look at these work orders, obviously when we ran the report, it was 2679, and I think we're at like 28 by the time the end of the year actually rolled around. But you can look down, I keep track of the last 2 years, and then you can see that some of our schools, that those numbers are creeping up. If you look at the new elementary schools, those numbers are creeping up. If you look at Grand Rapids Senior High, you look at the middle school, you can see how those numbers are also starting to increase, even like Big Fork School. All these numbers are starting to increase. Some of it's vandalism, but a lot of it's just flat out wear and tear, whether it's doors and hardware, carpeting, plumbing, you name it, light fixtures. We can't replace light bulbs anymore. After January 1st of this year, everything has to be done with LED. So we're changing out ballasts and converting things to LED. We just don't have the capital to go into a building and pull every light out and replace everything with LED. As much as we would love to do that, we just can't. I gave you a list of some projects. Some of these are pretty basic things that we do on a regular basis. The one under the Grand Rapids High School, we replaced the generator there. The backup generator was purchased partially by IAST, and it was installed in 1998. That generator is the lifeline for the server up at the Grand Rapids High School. We just can't be in a situation where we're relying on something that was installed back from when I was in high school, right? So we made that change last summer, pulled that thing out, got a new one in, got it inspected, and it's, we do monthly inspections on our generators, and that thing seems to be working out pretty well. Proposed up at the Grand Rapids High School, realistically, it's just, routine maintenance, stuff like that. Now down at the sports complex, the bathrooms down there definitely need some paint, some plumbing partitions. could use a little cleanup, the floor, things like that. Just, you get these bigger sporting events and there's not a lot of fixture units in those 2 bathrooms. A lot of people go through them and they tend to get abused pretty hard throughout the year. So that's something that's on our list for this year. Over at Robert J. Elkington, I talked about the new drop-off and pickup, but one of the other things that we installed was the CareHawk system. We had one building that did not have the CareHawk system and that was the middle school. So we worked with ESC, who does our alarms and fire alarms and our speakers and things like that, panic buttons, and we completed that project over Christmas break. So now all of our buildings have an up-to-date CareHawk system. As far as the middle school goes, yeah, so basically it's part of the announcement. So if there's announcements that need to go over, but then also we have panic buttons in a couple of different areas. So in the event that we did have a intruder that came in, we could put the building on lockdown, not only just locking all the doors to the corridors, to the different wings, but it would also put out a message basically telling everybody to shelter in place. At the middle school, for next year, continuing roof leaks. It seems like we have a roofing contractor out here once or twice a month, trying to relax that roof, trying to keep everything dry. Big Fork School, same thing. One of the things that we had to do that was per the fire marshal is we did not have a roof ladder that went from the lowest part of the building up to the seating above the edge center, and then a ladder that went all the way up to above the stage. And we, per fire marshal code, we had to have ladders installed so someone could get up there, access that roof, as well as test and maintain the fire dampers. Well, we didn't have that, so he flagged us on it. I believe it was like $17,400, and we had them installed. They're there now, so we're back into compliance with the fire marshal. Proposed for this year, we've got an old boiler there. All of our boilers are old, but we have one particular one that's from the late 90s. It's a PVI. PVI only made boilers for maybe 3 or 4 years in the late 90s. The problem with that boiler, kind of a piece of junk, and we can't get parts for it. And believe it or not, when we get parts for that burner, we're getting them off of eBay. So we are looking at installing a new dual fuel burner on that particular boiler for 2 reasons. One, because the one there is faulty, and 2, I would like to get off of that fuel oil heating source and rely more on propane. We've run the numbers. I don't have it off the top of my head. I have it somewhere in the office, but the buyback in like 10 years will pay off this burner. We run about a tanker a month of fuel oil through that school every single month. Actually, we just got a tanker delivered this afternoon. Southwest, Kara, bless her heart, made us put this new light pole in for everybody and then up and quit. So, job well done on the way out the door for her. I do have the basketball hoops that we took from Nashwauk before they are starting their demolition of their old high school. We took all their winches, safety equipment, and things like that out of their gym. Everything has been delivered to my building and is there. And when we get some time, we will then take that equipment and replace the backboards and the hoops that are here in this building with the nicer glass breakaway rim backboards that Nashwauk had at their high school, as well as the winches and safety equipment that we can utilize in other buildings in the event that we need something. Cohasset, one of the things that we ended up doing is we had a board go out, electrical board go out on the burner or on the boiler. And these boilers are pretty new, and it wasn't under warranty no longer. So we weren't able to see what that boiler was doing, and we had to replace that board. That board was $6,000. So that, you're talking about a boiler that's 6 years old. It's kind of unfortunate that you got to put that kind of money into something. But unfortunately, with the number of boilers that we have, this is the only one that we've actually had to do something with. East and West, we did typical maintenance like we do every year. We did some painting, things like that. On the next page, this is a health and safety list that we work with IEA on, we work with Northeast Service Co-op, and all these bulleted points are things that we have annual inspections on, whether it's monthly, could be quarterly, could be yearly. These are all the things that we get inspected. We log all these things for different entities, whether it's like, for an example, gas hoods or I think I saw kitchen hoods in here or something, but all these things are things that we have to keep a 3-year binder for, so that way when we do have our inspections, people want to come up and look at them, we're able to give them to them. And then also with like anything, some of the stuff we've never thrown away, like abatement, O'Hara, things like that. Those are all 3-ring binders in my office. If anybody ever wants to look up lead and water, any of that kind of thing, you can let me know. I've either got it digitally or we have it in a 3-ring binder for people to come and look at. And I have no problem scanning stuff out of there or sending it to anyone. And then the last page is just, this is a list of all the people that we have working in our department, where they're at. And as you can kind of tell, we're one of the only departments that I know of where we have staff that comes in at 6 a.m. We have staff that leaves at 11 p.m. And we're here on, nights, weekends, holidays, checking buildings, checking boilers, anything to do with that. We've had situations where we've come in at night or on weekends because we've had broken water lines or boilers that were down, and we've had to just drop what we were doing and come in and fix those problems. And that's why we're in these buildings as much as we are. So that's all I had. Thank you again. Any questions?
Very thorough. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks, Darren.
All right. Thank you.
All right, we will adjourn the work session and we'll come back at 6:30 for the regular meeting. Mike's off.
And, this one up, and then if you wanna just say.
Yeah, I wrote it.
Or you just wanna read your, if you just wanna read your script, we can just put this in the background.
Okay.
I can show. And then that's it, yeah, so then I'll talk about it. Yeah. It's almost like remember.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, did you text her? She's not like something. Oh. I'm like, yes, I mean, like, you need to be better than your thing.
Look in, so Anna and Tommy and
Too easy.
yeah, like the end of the trip.
Yeah.
That's why I was like,
And me.
yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Especially. Yeah, you did. Flight is 10 hours.
Alrighty.
I'll call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first item on our agenda tonight is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley. Second. Second by Mark. Any discussion? The agenda is approved. The next item is to approve an international field trip request to Costa Rica from the Big Fork School in June of 2027. I believe Michelle Hill is attending remotely. Michelle?
Hi. So yes, my name is Michelle Hill and I'm an ESP from Big Fork. I work in the high school and I'm also president of Big Fork Student Travels nonprofit organization. And I would like to plan an educational trip with EF Tours, which our school has worked with before, to Costa Rica in June of 2027.
Good deal. Thank you, Michelle. Do I have a motion to approve the field trip to Costa Rica from the Big Fork School in June of 2027?
So moved, David.
Moved by David,
Second.
second by Ashley. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, hi, Michelle. Do you want to go through some of the details of the trip? You know, the itinerary, if you have that, and students, a number of students maybe that you'd be looking to bring, and chaperones and things like that?
I have not announced it yet because we are working with our trip to Greece, and the final date to sign up for that is February 22nd. So I'm not going to announce this till February 23rd. And this is a 7-night, 8-day trip. And we actually have an excursion for each one of those days. I mean, we're going whitewater rafting, we're going zip lining, we're going to a coffee farm. I mean, every day is something new to try. And then one afternoon, we're actually just going to relax on a beach. But our school has been there before. So this is something I just want to bring back. It is, all 3 meals are paid for, so they only have to bring spending money. I do like this company that it has permission slips that parents and students both have to sign of there's no drinking, there's no use of tobacco or tobacco products. They actually sign a paper. If the student gets caught, it is up to the parents to send them back. It's at the cost of the parents. And like I said, I'm president of the nonprofit organization. So I have been head of fundraising for the Greece trip. And for the Greece trip, it was 3 years in planning and we raised almost $30,000. So this year is 1 year. I'm hoping to raise $10,000 by next June of 27.
Michelle, I have a question. This is Ashley asking. You just mentioned that you raised $30,000. Does that cover the cost of your students being able to participate in this trip?
That money is for the Greece trip. So I'm going to start fundraising now. But for that Greece trip, we had 2 students get their whole trip completely paid for. And we keep very detailed notes. My organization, my board does, that we will, how do I say this? Sorry, it got noisy. We take the volunteer hours and whoever volunteered the most, we just kind of catalog it and go from there. So the ones who volunteered, say 80 some hours, and the money we took, because it's nonprofit, it goes all back to the students. It doesn't go anywhere else. So it came out to like almost $30 per hour they worked. That's how we got 2 students that were fully funded their whole trip.
Okay.
And everyone else gets little bits of it. So, I mean, we just go by how many kids volunteer their hours.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that information.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the trip, say aye.
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 Opposed? The trip is approved. Congratulations. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to approve an international field trip request to Switzerland and to the Mediterranean for the Grand Rapids High School in June of 2028. Brielle Carlson and Jessica Flossie.
Hi, board. Hi, Mr. Gross. We are here to request our next trip, but before we do that, we wanted just to bring back a few pictures from our latest one. So this was the trip we traveled to this past summer to Thailand. There were 38 of us. Thank you. There were 38 of us, or 39. Yes. We spent 14 days in Thailand. It was a long trip there, long trip back, but the students were amazing. We had 550 miles traveled by bus, and we got to do so many amazing things, from the busy streets of Bangkok to the quiet Buddhist temples to this incredible waterfall we got to spend some time in. It was a really, really incredible experience. It's nice. We try to diversify our trip offerings. We've taken students to India and Morocco and all over the world, and Thailand was a great addition to that. We love traveling to Europe as well too, but it's nice to put some different itineraries in there for students to see the diverse world. With us is one of our travelers, Anna, who is going to talk a little bit about some of the trip highlights.
Hi, my name is Anna Gebhardt. I'm a junior at Grand Rapids High School, and I had the amazing privilege of going on this trip last summer. Some of the things I loved most was ultimately the perspective I gained that I couldn't have gained without seeing these things. Like, there's life beyond what I lived in. I absolutely love that I got the group that I got to travel with. I made connections with people I may never would have crossed paths with. So that was super amazing. And ultimately, I felt super safe the whole time. And our tour guide was extremely educational. And I learned so much the whole time. And it was so great. And I also had the privilege of my mom getting to come with me. So that was super sweet to have those special memories. I'm very grateful that I got to go on this trip. And I thought the itinerary was perfect. And I hope that students don't look past this opportunity. Thank you.
So where to next? The next one on board is to look at Switzerland, Italy, and France is what we're looking at for the summer of 2028. The itinerary, this is just kind of a rough sketch of where we'll be going. So Switzerland, flying into Lucerne, we're going to Lucerne first. And then Lucerne's kind of, walking the city, experiencing some of the highlights, and then doing 2 kind of alpine village tours in a day. So doing kind of a day trip out to those, and doing cable cars up into the mountains and really getting the mountain feel of Switzerland. From Switzerland, we'll go down to Florence. Florence, there'll be an little stop at Lake Como or kind of Milan, like where the Olympics are right now. We'll be stopping in that area before we make it to Florence. We'll spend a couple days there, through Lucca, and then to Cinque Terre, which is those kind of cliffside villages. Both Florence and Cinque Terre were 2 places that we went a couple of years ago on our Italy vacation, and were some of the ones we absolutely loved back in 2024. And then we'll do a stop in Monaco, and then into Nice and the French Riviera, and we'll take a train up to Paris, kind of ending there. The logistics of it, we're looking at June of 2028. The dates, again, just kind of depending on what works best as far as the end of the school year, and kind of adjust those dates as we get a little bit closer into planning. It's open to all Grand Rapids High School students and their families. So we really like when parents come along with us too. And so both students and families join us. The cost for students is $49.97. We worked really hard to get it below $5,000. This includes an early enrollment discount. We are using a different tour company this year. So traditionally we have used EF. We're trying a new company, which is called Blue Dot Tours. And partly there was some competition in the market now. So we actually, Brielle, knows the new director of this company, and they were able to offer us some better prices and also some just better customization, and we're hoping some better hotels and meals to go along with it. So we thought we really kind of trust them as leaders, and we think that they offer the similar guarantees when it comes to protections for students and safety and all of those kinds of things. So we've probably spent the last 4 months researching and working with multiple tour companies trying to get the best quote and the best itinerary, and we think that this is the best one to go with. So we're excited to try them this year. We're really excited about what they can offer. And again, it includes airfare, hotels, tour guide, most of the meals, and excursions. There are a lot of times for us, lunches are not included. We get some free time in some of these European cities, and it gives kids a chance to really explore on their own and kind of choose some meals for themselves. And then we do group meals together for breakfast and dinner. We will have a 6-to-1 student chaperone ratio. We take ISC 318 employees as our chaperones, and we do have all adult travelers that are age 20 and older have a background check. So that includes both chaperones and adult travelers. And if approved, we will host a parent and student meeting also on Monday, February 23rd. This is, 2 years in advance, well over 2 years in advance. We hope that, again, we know that there's a cost to this, and We like giving families a chance to make payments over, monthly payments if that works in their schedule, and also time to fundraise, give them ample time to fundraise in addition to that. We do offer multiple fundraising opportunities throughout the year. Students can choose how much they want or don't want to do. We have some students who fundraise a lot. We have others who, get jobs in the summer or, have their Christmas presents be for the next couple of years go towards the trip. My own child is going on our next one next summer in Japan, and he's done a mixture of both, where he's worked and he's also done fundraising through us. So, we see students do a variety of things, but we try to offer as many as we can. And again, we try to get the cost as reasonable as we can for a 12-day trip.
All right, thank you. Do you have a motion to approve the international field trip to Switzerland, Italy, and France in June of 2028?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley, second by David. Any discussion?
Are you guys looking for chaperones?
You're coming next year.
I am. That's true. Don't be greedy. You're right.
And we try to, and we have a chaperone process, as you know. So we do have, a lot of times if your own child is going and you're a district employee, we try to prioritize going with your children. We try to prioritize people who haven't gone before. We have chaperones. We want them to be committed to global education. And so we do try to incorporate all of those things when deciding on chaperones.
Serious question for
Yes.
this time. That family meeting on the 23rd, is that when you guys not only are discussing, but is that when you are offering that early sign up as well? Correct. For that particular time?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for Brielle. Thank you for looking at Switzerland. I have family there, and it's very personal. I'm glad to see you taking that on. I am curious. I personally have great confidence in EF because we've worked with them for so many years on so many projects. And I understand we're looking at a different vendor now. And I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I think Jess really explained it pretty well, but there's competition, and we've worked with both EF and Explorca in the past. Explorca and EF are the two major tour companies, the student tour companies, and we took students to Greece and Egypt with Explorca in 2022. Yeah, both of those ended up in 2022 because of COVID. And so a couple of the, one of the CEOs and one of the customer service people anyways broke off and split off to create Blue Dot. And so they're taking a lot of experience from the travel world in creating this new company and trying to kind of take the best of the best. EF is incredible. We love EF. We've never not loved our experience with them. However, they are a huge company. And when it's a really big company, there's a lot of overheads when it comes to costs, when it comes to hotels and blocks, booking on airplanes, with different airlines and restaurants and things like that. So the flexibility is a little more limited. And so we felt with the back and forth conversation that we had with Blue Dot and the conversations that I've had with the connections through Explorica that have gone over with Blue Dot, that we feel really confident in giving them a shot. They're bringing a wealth of travel experience into the student travel industry, and we feel like it's a really good time. We've given them a lot of perspective as tour leaders that they've been really good about listening about and infusing into, I think, sort of how they're building the company as well too. So yeah, in the cost, I mean, when we got the feed or our cost quote, let's see, what was it, like $5,800, this exact trip through EF. And at the end of the day, we know that cost, of course, is a really important factor when we consider these trips. And so there's been a lot of sleepless nights over this decision. This certainly has not been an easy decision, but we do feel confident giving them a shot this time around. And we know EF is there if we need to go back. But we're
thoroughly researched.
Really excited. Yeah, thank you. We really appreciate your continued support of our travel and getting students out. Thank you.
Real, one question I had for you is, can you talk a little bit about what the pre-trip experience looks like for the kids? I know, as a global traveler myself, I think it's important to know where you're going and talking about these places before you get there. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like for this trip?
Yeah, so typically we have multiple meetings before we go where students are and parents and all the travelers are informed on every place we're going. They're really well prepared. I mean, I think over prepare them most likely. We also, the last few years have been giving students and parents, all travelers, a really nice booklet of all the places we're going with the itinerary, a bunch of historical information, background information on all of our destinations. We really make sure students are well versed. We truly believe that they're representative of our schools, of our state, of our country. And so we want them to be well received by all the places we go to. And we always get that feedback from tour guides that your students are so great. They're so respectful. They're really nice. They're, well behaved. So we certainly prep them for that. One of the things that we'll be doing this spring in preparation for our Ireland and Scotland trip is we're having a little pub trivia, not without beer, of course, but to get students excited and ready to go for that part of the world, since we know that is, a special part of that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the trip, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. The trip is approved. Congratulations. All right. The next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the January 20th regular school board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved, David.
Moved by David,
Second.
second by Ashley. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved.
Mr. Chair, can we
Yes.
go back to principal report?
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Let's back up with all my apologies. Mr. Hofstad, principal report.
Thank you, Chair Cowan, Board Superintendent Gross. I'm honored to do this on behalf of the Grand Rapids High School. Our board reports definitely takes us in some different directions in terms of what is presented. Tonight, I figured it would be prudent to present on our state of the building. We have state of the building reports that we do internally to our staff, with our staff, 3 times a year. Julie, if you got a chance to throw that up. Just a quick tidbit before I get started on that. We're right in the midst of our registration season. So those of you that have children in the district know that we are going through the process of our incoming 9th graders along with the rest of our classes. Pretty in-depth process in terms of making sure that course selection, students, families get all the information needed. Those numbers are really important for us with regards to sectioning course offerings for next year. It's a really exciting time for students and families, but it's definitely intense. So we're looking forward to wrapping that up this week. So our state of the building is a report that we put out 3 times a year, fall, winter, and spring, and really looks at our systems academically, behaviorally, attendance data, and our SEL, social and emotional learning data. And we really look at this to celebrate successes, but also identify needs, any inequalities that we have in our systems, areas to celebrate, and areas of growth as well. So this is aligned with our strategic directions. Each building has a state of the building. I don't know if any of my colleagues have presented on this in the past. This is very closely related to our school action plan as well. We have a school action plan aligned to our strategic directions along with our strategy team. And that really filters in everything that we do. I was able to present at CACR last week. I don't know if I could rattle off the acronym just off the top of my head. Carol? Yep, fire away. comprehensive achievement and civic readiness. And this is also related to that as well. So 3 times a year, like I said, these are items that as a building keeps our focus and keeps that information out to all our staff. So just quickly about our building demographics, if you'll notice in our enrollment, we have a slight dip in our upper grades. We went down approximately about 35 students since the fall. Our 9th grade was steady, but other grades, like I said, 35 students can be attributed to a lot of different things. Students enrolling in our district and choosing to go someplace else, PSEO numbers. GRAVA was something new this year. So our Grand Rapids Area Virtual Academy, if you notice, semester 1, we were at 45 students. Now in semester 2, we are up to 63. So we only see that component growing. But it also fits a need for not only some of our students, but our homeschool students as well. You can take a look at our ethnicity, meal status, disability. These are all numbers that factor when we are considering inequities and strengths and weaknesses. So as I said earlier, our building goals are aligned with our school action plan. Our 3 goals, our main goals this year was to increase the percentage of freshmen successfully earning credit in all of their courses. Our goal was shoot from 77% currently to 83%, creating a collective expectations for staff from a level of awareness to comprehensive fidelity around data collection and practices. And our goal 3, to support our curricular teams in phase completion of the curriculum review cycle. These goals are not only aligned to, as I said earlier, our strategy goals, but my personal goals as a principal and our teachers' goals for their yearly goal setting process as well. So really the alignment was something that was emphasized when I spoke at our CACR event, and that alignment really has shown through in our school-wide data this year. So first up, our STAR reading. So our STAR is our screener. As you see on this page, we had 40 students receiving reading interventions based on our STAR data semester 1. This is new for the Grand Rapids High School. We were able to secure an interventionist this year, working with 40 students, 9 through 12 first semester. We've identified 51 students targeted for reading interventions semester 2. Something that I just want to touch base on with our reading data, is our 65% of our students scored at or above typical growth from fall to winter this year. And this is up 13% from last year. So if you look at this data, and again, some of this data is certainly, intended for internal purposes, but you can see that 51% of our 9th grade students met or exceeded benchmark. It was down just a bit from our fall screening window, but these screeners, they do change throughout the year. 52% of our students in 10th grade, this is up 6% from fall. 11th grade stayed pretty steady, and our 12th grade was down just a bit, 45% meet or exceed benchmark. And again, what the emphasis that we look at is certainly the ability for growth. And the things that these slides don't show, like I said, 65% of our students showed at or above typical growth. With our STAR math screener, as you can see, we had 21 students receiving math interventions semester 1. We have 17 students targeted to receive math interventions semester 2. Our growth rate in our math, like our reading was 65%. Our growth rate with our math students was up to 68% from fall to winter screening. With our 9th grade, you can see we had 52% meet or exceed benchmark in our winter screening. This was up 6% from our fall window. 10th grade was also up 6%. Our 11th grade was down. And our 12th grade, which is a little bit more misleading, is less complete because our 12th grade, our advanced students are not tested in our STAR screener, and this is mainly reflected of students that have to take a remedial math class or they're in our special ed math classes. So overall, very encouraged by the data, certainly in terms of our growth and where we're at comparatively speaking to last year. So both numbers up. Our math data was up 6% from last year. Okay. So My Sabers is a screener that all of our students 9 through 12 take a screener twice a year. Really what we talk about with our students, it's a quick survey, but it also gets us a check on how they're doing. And it gives us really vital data. We have a student care team that meets once a week, counselors, administration staff, social workers that really reviews that data to identify students that are in need. I know there's a lot on this page. As you can see, we are screening about 64% of our students in our winter screener. The thing to note is if you look up in the top right, only 1.9% of our students marked in the high risk category, 16.3% in the moderate, and 81.8 is some. So really the identified area with regards to our high and moderate gives us really valuable information. It also identifies students that we provide interventions to, and that can take place with our counselors. Our interventionist also incorporates check and connect. From our first semester, 11 students received that intervention, 8 targeted to receive interventions semester 2. And that's specifically check and connect. That doesn't include all of the counseling sessions that we meet with our students. So really important data that we can share with staff. It's when we look at from fall to winter, we do see a slight uptick in percentage wise, and that is not uncommon. Looking at the holidays, the end of first semester, these are things that we certainly expect to see.
Darren, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, fire away.
That? Do you notice numbers in the spring? Do you notice those numbers taking a shift, like in the opposite direction, that there's more positive outcomes happening in the spring, getting closer to the summer?
I think overall it's really steady. The one point that I want to make is the screening numbers is always really difficult. This is something that we do over recharge. So trying to capture all students has always been a real big challenge for not only our school, but our schools across the district. So really making a point of emphasis is getting all of our students in that screener. Some kids don't really, when they see that they got to spend 5 minutes on an iPad answering a couple of questions. It really provides us some valuable data. So getting everybody screened. Attendance is also a factor in the winter and in the spring as well. So we definitely roll with the punches when it comes to that data.
Darren, can I ask a follow-up on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So building upon her question, there's not a lot of incentive, it doesn't appear, for students to do well on this. Correct me if I'm wrong in that statement, but we take this data, we make decisions based on the data, but how important do we set the stage for the outcome of what they share in these screeners? Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And there's I think we do a really good job. Obviously we talk to our counselors but we have each teacher reads through a slide of like, what is the purpose of this? This is really just a check-in to see how you're doing. And I think our teachers do a great job. Obviously, we have some information that's, more so canned, but system-wide, it's really important. And I think students, for the most part, they see it as, we've been doing this for a couple of years. They know it's coming. But it also gives us some really valuable stuff. So in terms of like just kind of clicking through it, we can certainly see that as well. Even if it's just click through and it's not taken very seriously, we still do check-ins with every one of those students that come in as a high risk category.
Okay, thanks.
The next part of this is the office discipline referrals. This will probably be a little bit eye-opening for some of you to kind of know what happens at a high school level. If you take a look at this bar graph, you'll see that 78% of our students have 0 behavior referrals at this point in the year. Only 10% of our students have 1 incident, 2 to 5% or 2 to 5 incidents, 9%, close to 9%, and 6+ incidents, about 2.7% of our students. And our incidents can be anything from attendance, truancy to behaviors in the classroom, bus incidents, things like that. So it really is a wide variety, and I'll show that on the next couple slides here. One of the things that this is really encouraging this year. So the blue line is our 25-26 school year. The black line on top is our 24-25 school year. So if you see that 708, that's the total number of incidents or referrals that myself and my assistant principal are working with since the beginning of the year. Seems like a big number. It is. However, we're down 462 incidents from last year at this time. So that is incredibly encouraging, and I can attribute it to a lot of different things. Obviously, our incoming class of, ninth graders, absolutely great job down at the middle school. We sent us a good crop for sure. But it's also the emphasis of our teaching staff. We have a very experienced teaching staff, but making it a point of emphasis, not only in their classrooms to connect with students on a personal level, but also doing a lot of classroom managed behaviors. So classroom managed way more than office managed.
Darren, one more question.
Yep.
I could talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
How many school days have there been so far this year? Do we know about this so far this school year?
The semester was about 15 school days ago.
Yeah.
That would have been halfway. So that would have been 85, so about 90.
So 90. So I'm just trying to think of how many you're dealing with a day.
Yeah. Trying to wrap your head around that. Absolutely. Like, it's not, if you look at that, is how many that we have a day. Certainly, there's more emphasis on days, especially when we have our truancy deal with our attendance write-ups. Those are probably the bulk of this. So it's not all on one day, but certainly, a dozen a day is certainly normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say that because I think it's important for us and the public to understand how much of this you're dealing with a day, in addition to the rest of the responsibilities that principals have in your district. So,
No, absolutely. It's a really good point.
And that there's only 2 of you.
yes.
There
that's a big deal.
is 2 of us. There was 3 at one point, and Mark remembers the days when there was 3, and he remembers the day was when there were 2. So take a look at some of this. This gives you a little bit better breakdown. Top 10 incident types. As you can see, 260 are the disruptive, disorderly, insubordination. Coming up close in second, attendance, technology, cell phone, tobacco, threat and intimidation, cannabis, verbal abuse is uptick just a bit. Again, we're talking about 10. Assaults down since the fall in terms of moving down on the list of the top 10. Academic dishonesty, we certainly see that more now with the advent of AI, and those are things that we're constantly combating. With regards to responses, lunch detention is still kind of the principal's go-to. We certainly practice non-exclusionary discipline as much as we possibly can. Conferences are very effective in most cases. As you saw on that first slide, when we only have, most of the students having 0 incidents or 1, it means, that time has been well spent. Action plans, suspension, losses of privileges, bus suspensions, warnings, all of these things. If you look at in-school suspensions, dismissals, those are also, they're considered exclusionary discipline. So again, not our go-to. With any suspension at the Grand Rapids High School, we do have a mandatory reentry meeting with parents, with students, with counselors, and make sure that we, corral those students with supports as they reenter and hopefully aren't repeats. So again, when I share this, I'm certainly encouraged to be able to share this with staff because this represents a big change in terms of it's been a lot further down comparatively speaking to last year. However, I know it's probably eye-opening for a lot that see this for the first time and just go, wow, that's the magnitude does seem enormous. So some building celebrations after all of that data. So when I said earlier, we're shooting from 77% to 83% of all of our freshmen passing their courses. At the end of first semester, 89% of our ninth grade students passed their first semester courses. That is something to celebrate. Obviously, we want students to have a great entrance to the school and to have success and to find their footing. Our interventions is also something that we've been able to take this screening data and take it back to our classrooms, but now having an interventionist where we can do some pull-out lessons and interventions with our students has been very beneficial. Our academic screening, like I said, our growth in reading is up 13% and our growth in math is up 5%. If you look at our SCL data at number 4 there, 81.8% of students scored in the some risk or lower category. Most students are doing very well, and that's certainly encouraging. The 20% or so, we know that they need some connections and need some other things that we hope to help provide during the school year. So again, that 462 incident decrease from last year, we feel that. We absolutely do. And it's been a great year. It really has. Our action steps moving forward, continue to maintain our communications home with our grade checks. Also, we're looking at academic recovery program to start soon for that remaining 11%. We want to maintain that screening participation. Like I said, that's a really important step in all of this, is to make sure that we are screening at maximum capacity. Our curriculum cycle has been a big lift. A lot of our work done in our early outs and even some all-day staff meetings or department meetings with our English, math, and science departments has been some really good work done. So school action plan at the forefront of all of our team meetings, monthly check-ins, updates. These are all really important to running a school. So like I said, we've had a great year. Anybody that asks, had a very successful start of the year. It's always hard work, but it's very rewarding work as well. When you see kids achieving, having that connection with staff and staff really feeling it as well. That connection with the students really what makes everybody come back to work the next day. So, any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah, fire away, Eva.
So I take advanced math, so obviously I understand that the scores would be lower because I don't have to take the STAR test.
Yeah.
But so my 10th grade year, you could test out of English STAR testing. And then 11th grade, I think we also could. This year at 12th grade, I'm at a college level English.
Yeah.
Why do I still continue to take the same test, and why can't I test out of it anymore? I guess is my question.
That's a great question. And I can point you right to the READ Act. Minnesota Department of Education has a READ Act where all students are screened, including our PSEO students, even ones that are not on campus. So it's a great question. We know that, with our math screener, we have throttled back because typically those students, meet or exceed on the MCAs at a very, very high percentage, as we would know our advanced English classes would as well. So it is part of being part of the READ Act that, it's necessary.
Okay.
Great question. Anything else? All right. I appreciate you guys asking questions as we went.
If I can, I think it's, context, I think, is really important. And there are, if you look at students and staff, there are about 1,100 people in that building every single day. We think about 1,100 people in that building every single day, or probably closer to 100 days. And then you look at that incident number in the context of 105,000 people days or whoever you want to, I mean, it's a lot. And it's a lot to deal with because each one of those incidents, it's not a 1 minute thing for Darren or Andy to deal with. It can be 5 minutes and it can be 3 hours. But I think, sometimes there's a narrative about what happens in schools and this and that. And the reality is, for as many people are in that building every single day, like Darren said, most of the students have never had a write-up or even an attendance thing. That's amazing. And if you talk to Ryan and Dan from the middle school, their numbers are not that different either. Despite a narrative that exists, most of the kids are doing exactly what they're supposed to do every day. And it's just amazing. And we have some that are popping off a lot more that, folks deal with those. But our schools are orderly places, and there's a lot of great things going on, and it's busy in that office. But I think it's important that that narrative is straight too.
That's a very good point.
Great point. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Great presentation. Thank you.
All right, the next item on our agenda is to approve a resolution to accept donations and gifts for October, November, and December of 2025. The monthly totals for October, or the monthly total for October is $28,358.41. November is $15,145, and December is $20,060. And I believe, do you read the resolution or just do the vote, Julie?
Just the totals is fine.
Just the totals?
The
Okay.
resolution.
We don't have to read the resolution? All right.
Yep.
Move to approve.
Move to approve by David,
Second by Mark.
second by Mark. Any discussion?
Thanks to the supportive community that we have.
Agreed. And it looks like it was a substantial increase over this time last year. So again, thank you to the community. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is to approve retirements. Casey?
Good evening, board. Tonight we have Ann Bilkis, physical education teacher retirement. Ann has served the district for 37 years. And Angie Vekich, special education teacher retirement. Angie has served for 27 years. I'm recommending approval with thanks for those two ladies and their years of service.
The motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Mark.
Mark, second.
Second, David, with deep appreciation.
Second by David. Any discussion?
Thank you to both of those staff members for the time and effort that they have put throughout the years. They both are wonderful humans at what they do. So thank you for that.
I agree and concur. Thank you very much. And congratulations and good luck in retirement. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Retirements are approved. Thank you, Casey. The next item on the agenda is to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley.
Second by Mark.
Second by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is to approve a teacher request for unpaid leave of absence from Rachel Newman. Casey?
Before you, you have a request for a leave of absence that is unpaid. This is both a contractual leave and under Minnesota statute 122A46. It's a statutory extended leave for a period of up to 5 years. It could be anywhere between 3 and 5 years, beginning at some point in the 26-27 school year and going through the 2030 to 2031 school year. The guidelines are attached to the leave, but just to point out, there is no cost to the district. There would be no pay or benefits during the leave. It would retain Rachel's right to her seniority and to purchase her TRA years of service credits. I'm recommending approval of the leave.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley.
Second, David.
Second by David. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The unpaid leave of absence for Rachel Newman is approved. The next item on the agenda is to approve the 2025 to 2027 admin local 1315 teachers unit contract. Casey.
Thank you. As President Angie spoke earlier, we had really great discussions, professional, respectful, and a lot of hard conversations as part of this settlement. I'm recommending approval of the settlement for 25-27 contract year for our teachers. Some of the highlights include no base salary increase for 25-26, but there will be a stipend between $1,200 and $1,410, depending on how that employee elects it. A 2.25% salary increase in year two, $200 increase in longevity each year, and then adding a small stipend for hybrid and overload teaching and some minor revisions to the activity schedule. Recommending approval of the 25-27 admin teaching contract.
Thank you, Casey. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve by Mark.
Motion by Mark. Second?
Second.
Second by Ashley. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The 2025-2027 admin local 1315 contract is approved. Thank you, Casey.
Thank you.
The next item is to approve the permission to post teacher and special assignment math curriculum integration specialist, Mr. Chair, or Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packet, I included some rationale for this position. We have worked hard to get in alignment in our district on with Minnesota standards review. And we're in a position where we need to be and are working on looking at curriculum for math. We are in the series of our implementation cycle for English language arts. And so you've heard Carol Kopp and others talk about Wit and Wisdom that was selected for K-8. And this next implementation for math represents a K-12 implementation, which I think would be the largest curriculum implementation in decades in the district. So it's very, very large. I think we've learned through the work of implementing ELA that it's really important to support staff, have clarity about expectations and pace, and make sure people have what they need. And so I think having a position like the curriculum integration specialist position we've had for ELA has been very valuable. And what I'm proposing is that we have a similar position for math to ensure that the math selection goes well, implementation goes well, and our staff get the support they need, and we have the fidelity we need in that implementation. It's a huge investment. And so I think having someone that is involved in that every day is really important. The position would be placed on the teacher's contract. There's some work that we need to do with the teachers union when we have a teacher on special assignment. And it is built into the fiscal 27 budget that you've seen. I would recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley, second.
Second by Mark.
Second by Mark. Any discussion?
Thank you for the great work that's gone into planning in this.
Agreed.
Yeah, I would also just reiterate that I believe this is an enormous investment in our district and our kids. And I think it's very wise to make sure that we have somebody that's leading the charge, to make sure that we invest appropriately and really have a lot of fidelity with the implementation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the permission to post the teacher and special assignment is approved. The next item on the agenda is to approve a resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and position and reasons therefore. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to do my best. I think I have a limited number of words in my throat today, and so I'm going to do my best to conserve those, which is I'm really glad that Alex is here, and he's going to we're going to tag team this, and so we'll some of this will be review for you, but I think also important to be talking about for the public.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. The district, like any organization, has the goal of being financially healthy and stable. And in school finance, we use two key indicators. The first one being the unreserved fund balance. This is general fund dollars that are not restricted for any one purpose, and it's the accumulation of money over year after each audited year ends. You could simplify it and think of it as your checking account, what's left after you pay all your bills. That is our best indicator of the financial health. The board has a policy of 10% of expenditures, and as of June 30th, 2025, it was at about 9.2%. So the district's worked really hard to get back above that policy level. And then as far as the stability, it's a balanced budget. Its revenues are equal to expenses or exceed expenses. And I know the district's put a lot of effort into making that happen as well. This graph shows revenue versus expenses over the last several fiscal years. You can see 24, 23, 24, 25, the revenues exceeded expenses, which has helped the district build back some of those reserves. Fiscal year 26 is not closed out yet. We're anticipating a slight deficit because of the transition from the OPEB trust to the pay-as-you-go and the lag time with that money being levied for. Oops. This shows the last several years of where cuts have been made or reductions have been made. You can see the bulk of it is through personnel, which makes sense because 80-something% of the budget is salary and benefits for school districts. And as you cut out things like supplies and capital, there's only so much you can cut in those areas, but that's just a snapshot of the reductions that have been made in the last several years.
A year ago, when we were doing budget workshops and communicating with the board, we were talking. When I did workshops with staff and district leaders, we said that these were the 5 things we needed to do to avoid budget cuts this year. And number 1 is finish the year with a balanced budget for fiscal 25. That's been audited, and that happened. Maintain a fund balance within the school board policy target. Like Alex said, we're right there. And if we account for the OPEB uniquenesses there, we're right there. 3, make the reductions necessary to balance the budget for fiscal 26. Again, without accounting for OPEB, we did that last spring, made additional cuts. 4, and this was really painful, but as Casey indicated, with our teacher agreement tonight, to negotiate contracts that were limited to step and experience and lane increases. The board identified that a year ago as a really important strategy in order to not have to make reductions this spring. And at this point, we have signed agreements with over 80% of our employees that represent that. And number 5, increase local revenue or levy authority. While we don't have an operating referendum in place, we did have a levy increase, and we've seen some increases from compensatory revenue that have helped with 5. So as difficult as it's been, I think it's important to just acknowledge that we set out a plan and we followed that plan. And if we look at the next slide, kind of to look at where we are for fiscal 27, Alex is going to walk through that.
Sure. So you can see this is all of our expenses and revenues, staff, buildings, everything, transportation, revenues of just over 69 million and estimated expenditures of 71.3 million. So that is leaving us with a FY27 deficit of 2.294 million. However, with the transition from the OPEB trust to what we call pay-as-you-go, so the levy authority to cover the post-employment benefit liability. That will be on the levy for next fall to be collected in 27, 28. And so there's a lag time for those expenses, but the district will recover the 3.4 million for the fiscal year 27, if that makes sense. Leaving a positive operating margin of the 1.1 million or 1.55% of expenditures. So it's kind of challenging to wrap your head around that OPEB piece, but basically accounting for future revenue for those costs.
And that number, 1.1 million, sounds like a lot when we think about it in our own budget. In the context of $71 million, it's not a lot of money, but it is a positive operating margin. And that's a really, really good thing. So if we think about what does that mean? I've been asked, like you've probably been asked a lot over the last few years, how long are we going to have to cut? And the answer that I believe we've been pretty consistent with was we're going to need to cut until our revenues and expenditures can balance themselves without cutting. And so the recommendation is that we don't set a reduction target for the fall this spring. So we don't set a budget reduction target. We'll continue to make budget adjustments as necessary and watch for opportunities to cut expenses, which is why the item on the agenda tonight is to approve the resolution directing us to make reductions as we need to. But in previous years, we would have talked about, an amount to close a deficit. And so we'd be talking about, large numbers or cutting an amount of 1.5 million or something. And tonight, all we're saying is, we don't need to set a target because our revenues and our expenditures are balanced, or we have an operating margin for the fall for next fiscal year. And that we just look for opportunities to be smart and watch our expenses and make opportunistic reductions. So it's a really good thing. My voice and probably can't capture the positivity that I'm feeling because this has been 6 years of really tough decisions for people and tough years of impact on people. And even, the people that are still here, it's been a lot for the people that haven't lost their jobs. It's been hard for people that have lost their jobs. It's been hard for people that have had to do different jobs. And so it's been hard kind of for everyone. Also, I think this third thing, this isn't, doesn't mean we're out of the woods. We know that the state budget is a concern. We know that enrollment trends in our state, in our district are not positive. We know our expenses are always going to continue to grow. We also know that our budget's based on assumptions, and some of those we take a very kind of a balance between being conservative and realistic. But if some of those assumptions go haywire, that will be a challenge. And at the end of the day, even though we may not be making, big reductions this spring, we know that we're not staffed like we want. We know that we have some programs missing that we really wish we had back. And that will still be something that we have to work through. So what's next? The board has a resolution tonight, again, directing to administration to make recommendations for reductions. This is a resolution that's passed just about every spring by just about every single school district. So even in years past where there may have been a large budget surplus for years in a row, this resolution might have been passed by this board or another one. But it just gives administration the authority to do what it needs to do and to bring opportunities to you. I think this is news that people need to know as soon as possible because there are people right now that are worried about their jobs. And so if we move forward with this, I have an email drafted to go out tonight to let staff know that this is what the plan is for the spring. And in there, I'll include information about a virtual staff meeting on February 18th, where I'll go in a deeper dive. But again, I didn't want to wait until the 18th to communicate what I think is really, really good news and a real big relief to a lot of people. And then the postings and hirings, we talked about the math one tonight. You approved the posting for the alternative ed principal at a previous meeting. Any other staffing things, we'll try to get those going as soon as we can, so that any dominoes that need to fall into place can fall into place as soon as possible. But I want to thank the board for really hard decisions in the past, my administrative team for doing really, really hard work, staff for pitching in. Again, back to the agreement that Angie Boyd talked about and Casey talked about, we wouldn't be here today if we didn't have agreements like that in place. We'd be talking about cutting. And that was the whole reason why we went down that road. We wouldn't be here talking about not cutting if we hadn't made healthcare changes, both to our active plans and our retirees. We wouldn't be there. So everybody in the district has had to pitch in to get us into a spot that we're in right now, where we're not talking about planned reductions for the fall. So I would recommend approval of that resolution.
Thank you. I'll direct Clerk Marty to read the resolution aloud.
This is the resolution directing the administration to make recommendations for reductions in programs and positions and the reasons therefore. Whereas the financial condition of the school district dictates that the school board must reduce expenditures immediately, and whereas this reduction in expenditures must include discontinuance or curtailment of positions and programs, and whereas a determination must be made as to which employees must be terminated and contracts not renewed, and which teachers must be placed on unrequested leave of absence without pay or fringe benefits in effecting discontinuance or curtailment of positions, be it resolved by the School Board of Independent School District 318 as follows. That the school board hereby directs the superintendent of schools and the administration to consider the discontinuance or curtailment of programs or positions to effectuate economies in the school district and reduce expenditures and make recommendations to the school board for discontinuance of programs, curtailment of programs, discontinuance of positions, or curtailment of positions.
Thank you, Clerk Marty. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Moved by Ashley,
Second by Mark.
second by Mark. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to reiterate that as scary as that resolution sounds, it's very standard procedure for districts to do that. And we don't anticipate any ULAs this spring. Again, looking for just opportunities that present themselves, but no targeted reductions.
Thank you, Matt. I just want to recognize you, Matt, for the work that's been done over these past 6 years. You've led the charge in getting us to this place through effective leadership, and I just want to thank you for that and recognize you for that, as well as the entire district staff. It's been really tough, and sitting in this chair, it's incredibly tough to see reductions in the impact they have on our staff, our community, and our kids. And I'm so thrilled that we're in this position and hope that we can continue this positive momentum. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The resolution is approved. The next item on the agenda is to approve the 2026-2027 Grand Rapids Area Schools calendar. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In your packet, you'll see a calendar for your consideration. Similar to years past, conversations start in the fall with our neighbors, neighboring districts, to see where things land for them. We've worked hard to try to have our calendars be in alignment as much as possible. We also had a law passed recently that permitted school districts to start school before Labor Day in the fall of 26 and the fall of 27 due to when Labor Day started. So that was something to consider that we hadn't really had the opportunity to consider before, unless we had a large construction project, well, actually not even that large, but a construction project going. The calendar that you have in your packet was also reviewed by our Meet Confer committee and also a team of teachers that, again, back to what Angie said earlier, this committee took a look at that, got feedback from teachers. In a whole, I would say that the structure of the calendar is similar to this year's. It does represent a pre-Labor Day start. We would start school on September 1st, and we have started school on September 2nd many days, and I know that because that's my birthday, and it's been the first day of school a lot. So it isn't a giant shift when it comes to, the day of the week necessarily. It just happens when Labor Day happens to fall. We did include that Friday off, so people would still have a long weekend for Labor Day. We received a lot of feedback about a long break for the holidays, and so that is also represented in this calendar, as well as a break in March. It represents getting out the end of the first week of June. So again, similar to what this year's calendar looks like. The biggest difference for staff, for community, for families is that this also represents moving away from early outs on Wednesday and making a shift. We believe that professional development is really important. And so we took a look at how many minutes that students were missing due to early outs, converted that into entire days, and those days have become full professional development days, and you'll see those represented in yellow or orange on the calendar. There are 4 of them. So 4 days were added as PD days instead of early outs. This is a change that all the other IS districts are making as well. I think Deer River's looking at an alternative calendar, so not really counting them yet because I think they're voting on a 4-day week at some point soon. Let's see. I think that that's a summary. I guess maybe the other thing I would mention, and this really isn't about this calendar in particular, but the topic of conferences has come up a number of times, and this calendar represents doing conferences the way that we've done them previously. But it seems like there's a great deal of interest and energy around the idea of digging into the notion of conferences, what families want out of conferences, what staff want out of conferences, how they'd best benefit our students. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation happening this upcoming year, because I think there's a better way to do conferences. So I'm hoping that in a year when I'm presenting a calendar for the following year, that we have something cool that we're trying. I'd recommend approval.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved, Ashley.
Moved by Ashley.
Second by Mark.
Second by Mark. Any discussion?
Thanks to superintendent and staff and others who have spent a lot of time digging into this calendar and looking at various options. It's been thoroughly vetted, and I appreciate that.
I agree. And I wanted to also add that I've gotten some feedback from the community and the public that the spring break inclusion has been a welcome addition, including some students at the Grand Rapids High School that wrote to the school board asking for a spring break. So recognition to that student that wrote that paper. Any other discussion?
I would just add, Mr. Chair, if I can quickly, we did have a discussion recently at a work session about getting feedback from the community this fall about the calendar too. Looking ahead to the following year, I think that's a really great idea to do after school starts in the fall. I'd hate to confuse people and make them think that we were asking about the next school year, but I think it's be a really good opportunity to get some feedback from our community.
Agreed. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The 2026-2027 Grand Rapids Area Schools calendar is approved. The next item on the agenda is to approve school board representatives for the 2026 graduations. We need to approve or appoint 2 board members and 1 alternate to each graduation. So we'll start with the Grand Rapids High School graduation, which will take place on Friday, May 29th of 2026. I believe last year was myself and Mark. Is that, or I'm sorry, myself and Ashley.
Thanks, Dave.
Are there any volunteers that would like to appoint themselves?
I would do it again.
Ashley, for Grand Rapids? Okay. Anyone else?
I'd do it.
Mark? Okay. And I can be an alternate. And then for the Big Fork High School graduation, that will be on Saturday, May 30th. I can do that one.
I'll go there.
And David? So,
Should Tom be the
and then
alternate?
by his attendance, he can be the alternate. You're welcome, Tom, when you're listening to this. All right, good. So Julie, did you get that?
I did, thank you.
Thank you. Do you need a vote on that?
No vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the never-ending agenda tonight is to accept the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee Annual Compliance Report. So we'd like to welcome Megan, Anna, and Benji.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us tonight. My name is Benji Sam. I'm going to kind of give a little speech representing the American Indian Advisory Committee. This year, for the school year 2025 and the 2026 year, we are going to vote with concurrence with the school district. We're pleased with the consistent progress being made. We recognize that we still have a little bit of work in front of us to work on goals that work for our students, parents, families, and teachers to help continue and build upon a lot of the successes that this school district has seen. That also includes faculty members and some of the goals that we outlay in the goal rubric for 2026 to 2027. We'll outline a few of those. We'll continue to do this by creating those goals that will foster new growth and expand the capacity and hold ISD 318 accountable to continue building a sense of belonging and equitable education for our Native American students through a cultural lens. One of the other reasons that we decided to vote for this concurrence this year is that we feel that the school district has been responsible and respectful in making progress towards some of the areas of concerns that have been brought up in the past. The school district has been willing to work with the committee to enhance the areas that we've found concerns with, and that's been a real consistency in the time that we've been together here. Some of the goals that we're going to outline specifically have been shared. I don't know if those have been presented to you all just yet. Perfect. A few of those goals reflect a few things like potentially looking forward into some of the staffing for our staff advocates. Currently, the funding that we are using towards housing that faculty member are through a couple of different avenues. And one of the requests that we're going to have is to continue looking at ways to continue help funding those staff members in each school program within our district that have continued making this such a great success for our students. Things that really also stand to shine out on one of the things that we had a discussion with Mr. Gross in a meeting, was it last week already? Days just fly. But one of the things that we looked at in talking about the concurrence vote this year was that the Grand Rapids School District and area schools here has an astonishingly high graduation rate for American Indian education students. When outsiders look into the things that have been done in the school district, this is a shining star in representations of finding ways to help things work for our students. And I think that's a reflection of everyone in this room, our faculty in the schools, and as well as our students and families that have bought into some of the great successes that we've seen. And we want to continue building forward on that in order to meet concurrence for next year.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Do I have a motion to accept the compliance report?
So moved, David.
Moved by David, second?
Second, Ashley.
Second by Ashley. Any discussion?
Thanks to the American Indian Ed parent program. I was pleased at how highly respected our program is throughout the state, really. And parent committee is an essential part of that. And thank you for your hard work on that, and thank you for this resolution.
I just want to echo that. I think having that good relationship, having good engagement is so important. And so thank you for being here, and thank you for partnering to make things better.
I would pile on to that same recognition. I think it makes me really proud to have a strong relationship and to also be a great place for our Native American children to get a great education. And that partnership that result is the partnership that we have with you. So thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, the compliance report is accepted with our thanks. The next item on the agenda is an update on the Forward Community Advisory Committee meeting number 2. Sir Superintendent.
All right. One of the things I think it's important that we're doing this community engagement. I think it's really important. I think it's important that as a board, you're in the loop on what we've been talking about, where we've been. And so we held our second forward meeting recently. We had to reschedule it because it was scheduled on the frigid Thursday, night before we called school, or Julie called school. No. So it was the 26th, I think, is the date that it was. Anyway, this is the charge that was given to the Community Advisory Committee that we call Forward. And this is the work they've been doing. Again, we established 4 meetings, and the committee members have been charged to look at the current situation here, provide feedback, and then to talk about options and priorities. Like I said, a series of 4 meetings, and the first 2 have been really heavy on information sharing, and the last 2 will be more focused on discussion and consensus building around advice to you as a school board. In the first meeting, we spent some time just getting acquainted with each other and identifying logistics, and then took a deep dive into the community survey that we had completed this fall. Over 800 people responded to that in some way, which is really amazing. Or engaged with that survey in some way or form. Then we also took a look at our organization, how we operate, the kind of key demographics and programs we have. Then we looked at some student academic data as well, and student opportunities. We had some opportunities in between each of those parts of the meeting for table discussion. That was really fun to watch. A couple pictures there of discussion happening. And then we gave the group some homework in between first meeting and second meeting. And the homework was to answer this question: what is the most important priority for our schools, a school district? To tell 3 people about the meeting, and then to ask some people around you that same question. And I heard some chatter in the community that people were hearing about this, that this meeting happened, which I think was really great. We had over 50 people at our first meeting, so I think that was a really good turnout as well. Some of the information that came back, and we won't read through this, but some of the feedback that came through during the meeting, our first meeting, centered around the idea of how important trust and transparency is. We talked about where people get information, and that was, I think people were surprised about, based on our survey results, where people get information. I've seen numerous studies done, and they continue to come back in our area that people get information from each other more than they read it or they hear, on the news. They are talking to the next door neighbor or somebody in their family or somebody on staff here. people were surprised to learn more about our students and who they are, where they come from, the demographics. I think people were surprised by the scale of our district and how complicated it is. You know, we serve more meals than any restaurant. We move more buses than any transportation company. You know, we have more square footage than any, industry around. And then there were some questions about other things related to that survey. We had a long discussion about MCAs, and so that was really interesting, including the idea that MCAs might not be the best measurement of student learning, since they only measure results one time a year. You saw in Darren's report screening data that shows how kids are doing over the course of a whole year. And we heard from a number of the members that attended, well, that seems to make more sense. Why don't we talk about that more? So we're talking about looking into ways that we can do that. Some challenges relating to our data and some concerns there around proficiency rates. And, we've seen some improvements there, and we need to continue to see improvements. That's our expectation. It's our community's expectation. And then some discussion about the constraints that we're dealing with in terms of funding, awareness about our class sizes being higher than people are used to and higher than they've been in a long time, and the demands on teachers and staff. In Meeting-2, we harvested the data from that question. So we did a thought exchange in real time. That was cool. And then we did a sort of a school finance 101, an overview, and did some feedback again, took a look at how school finance plays out in our school district, and then had another feedback activity and some homework as well. Quickly, that thought exchange and other feedback, this was a paragraph that was synthesized from a great deal of the feedback we received from the committee members, as well as the people that they gathered input from. And I won't read this whole paragraph, but I think that it really captures a lot of what we're trying to do. And I think there is a lot of promise to how we could use this paragraph or another version of it to help shape our work moving forward. We also made a word cloud out of the feedback, and not surprising and also very reassuring, children were right in the middle, where they should be. So I appreciated that. And also excellent. That's right in our kind of our new branding. So that's good to see as well. Meeting number 3 is scheduled for February 26th. This was the last slide in the slide deck I shared with them. And so they had an email in their inbox right after the meeting with a 2-question survey that they're filling out, and we'll be gathering that information. We'll be sharing it with them right away on February 26th. Again, that meeting will start to shift the focus away from information sharing from the district to information harvesting or getting from the district. That's my summary of where we are so far. Eva, you've been there. What did you think?
That's good. It was good. It was cool to see. I saw another student there too, aside from Aaron and I, which was like Aaron and I's feedback on the first one. Like, it'd be nice to see more students because like we're at these. So like some of the stuff we went over at the beginning of the meeting, we went over at the forward meeting. So we kind of get to see like what happens at both. But it was nice to see other students there and kind of hear what they felt, because some of the questions are like beyond our brains right now and it doesn't really apply to us, but some do. And so I think it's important to have more students there. So that was really nice to see.
I would just add that I think it was a great meeting again. The engagement from the community continues to be strong there. The only question I would have, Matt, is we had a slight dip in attendance from meeting 1 to meeting 2, right? Is it possible maybe before we get up to, get closer to meeting 3, that maybe we can make some phone calls out to people that, are signed up and are not signed up to encourage them to come back because it was so impactful? Just, I think a personal invitation to those people that did come to 1, that didn't come to 2 might be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something we could look into, even if we, if we did it personally or we uploaded that contact information into our system to be able to make phone calls out, we could do that too.
Right.
'Cause there's quite a few people on that list, but I do think that would be another good way to remind
We have the technology, right?
Yep, we do.
Yep.
Yep.
I think that'll be great. Any other discussion on the forward committee meeting?
I would just want to say that it was real interesting at my table when we were talking about school finance and how complex it is and how difficult it is for the public to kind of look inside a district and look at the finances. So I thought it was very, very good there.
I would add to Mark that I was at your table and there was a CPA at our table that also, I think, learned a lot about school finances. So even with somebody that has as much experience as this person does, everybody's still learning about how this works, and it's a complicated situation. And it's just great to see people, the light bulb kind of turn on for people. So, any other comments? All right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is board reports. We'll start with Eva.
So, this, past week and the week before, or this last week, girls hockey's been doing pretty good. So they started section playoffs and they won their quarterfinal game on Thursday against Blaine. And then on Saturday, they beat Forest Lakes. So they'll be playing Andover on Thursday, which is usually the rival. It's going to be a fun game. Boys hockey plays Hermantown tomorrow at home, and then girls basketball plays Superior tomorrow as well. This is home, and this is their senior night, so that'll be an important night for girls basketball. Boys basketball is away playing Bemidji on Thursday, and then my friend Aaron is gone, but this kind of applies to him. They had their last swimming had their last regular season meet, and then they're getting ready for the championship meets at the end of the month. Wrestling has section finals on Saturday, and Nordic skiing has state at Giants Ridge this Wednesday and Thursday. For student council, we have a meeting this Wednesday, and we'll start planning for our annual prom with a purpose. It might look a little different this year. I'm not quite sure what we want to do. I know there's 2 new district employees, so we might just have the prom with a purpose just be Grand Rapids this year so that we can kind of figure out, test the waters with the new hires and just kind of so they can understand it and get into the groove a little quicker. But this is the dance, like a sensory friendly dance for our students with disabilities or special needs. And I believe middle school, it'll be like the high school and middle school age students. For Key Club, we've definitely had to slow down in volunteer events. It's just like what the community needs, and that definitely slows down in the winter. But last Wednesday, this Wednesday, and then whenever students have time in class, they've been making Valentine's Day cards, and those are going to be delivered to nursing homes. Math team has their last meet before state, and that is tomorrow. And then Symphonic Band has a bridge concert with 8th grade band tonight. That's where Aaron is. And then I just want to put out a little special mention to the Grand Rapids Football Association. They were the only sport and community or person that recognized Women in Sports Day on February 4th. And as a female athlete myself, that was kind of important and special for me to see, because even just sports I played in didn't do anything but reposted the footballs of us. So I thought that was really special. And I just wanted to give them a shout out.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Nice reporting. Thank you. Busy time with lots of meetings, negotiations and things like that. The only thing that I would add to the mix is that the endowment committee has identified February 13th as Teacher Appreciation Day. And the endowment committee will be bringing gifts to teachers throughout the 318 school district on Monday the 13th.
Thank you, David. Ashley?
It has been a slow start for me with committees, and I apologize. I do not have any additional reports at the moment.
Okay, Mark?
I attended the Forward Community Advisory. I thought that was very good, and I'd like to thank the public that did come out and participate. A lot of really good information, a lot of good conversation. I also attended a finance committee meeting on the 29th, and we've been kind of looking real closely at what the budget looks like, and a lot of what you saw tonight, you know, it was part of the discussion there. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mark. My report is I participated in the school board officer training session last Wednesday evening by the Minnesota School Board Association. It's incredibly informative, a lot of information. It shows, I think, how well organized our district has established itself in terms of some of our routines and processes. Based on the questions that were asked by other districts, I think it showed that we have really good policies and procedures in place, which was great to see. I also just wanted to call out that I connected offline after engaging in the session with a member of the Columbia Heights School Board. They are going through an incredible amount of pain right now, and I just recognized her and thanked her for what she does for her community. I also participated in negotiations with administrative professionals, the Forward Advisory Committee meeting, and a few of our meetings, our committee meetings were postponed due to a couple of absences. So that's all I have. Next up is the superintendent report. Mr. Superintendent.
Thank you. I think Eva mentioned the Football Association. I don't think we've met, but just want to acknowledge Coach Greg Spahn for being selected the 4A Coach of the Year for the state. That's an award that's usually given to the state champion coach or maybe the runner-up coach. So it's a significant honor in general, and it says a lot that they identified, or he was identified, even though he wasn't, our team wasn't in that championship game. So
Well deserved.
he's done a lot to build a program, invest in young men, and well deserved. I can speak as a parent of one of his players and a former coach, so I appreciate it even more, I think. Something to bring to your attention, the MSBA MASA Day at the Capitol is Monday, March 9th. And a number of you went last year, I believe. That is the day of a work session that we have on the calendar currently. We don't have anything significant or at all on that agenda necessarily, and so it wouldn't be hard for us to cancel that work session if there were board members that wanted to go down for that day. For those that didn't go down, what generally happens is there's a morning session where members of House and Senate leadership generally come to address the room full of School Board Association members. And then around noon or the afternoon, board members head over to the Capitol to meet with legislators from their area to talk about issues or bills that are specifically relevant to them. So I guess I'm putting that out there to the group to see if there's interest in considering canceling that work session and instead if there's interest heading down to that day at the Capitol.
I'd be interested in going that day.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I mean, I think if we had a full workshop agenda on the 9th, I might be having a hard time making that work from a board schedule standpoint. And I think if we were having a complex list of reductions to talk about, but we don't. And so I think there's an opportunity there. So I think, Julie, it sounds like we'll cancel that work session and then work with individual board members about lining up arrangements for that day. I think I'm going to call that good for tonight.
Sounds good.
Thank you,
Mr. Superintendent. All right, meeting announcements. Upcoming school board committee and meeting dates are posted on each agenda. Meeting agendas can be found on the district website and on designated posting site here at the ISD 318 Educational Services Center. Is there any other business to come before the board? Julie, has anyone signed up for public input?
No one has signed up.
All right, we stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Right,
I do actually, yes. Thank you. Just get this shut down here.